Hi folks, this is Karim Raouf from IT Visualizer channel. They will continue our lab, the Red Alert lab. This is the video number 13. We have been discussing in the previous video the following. We have created our Red Alert .internal. This is our domain. We have created several workstations and we have created two domain controllers, a primary domain controller and additional domain controller, and the server that hosts the role of the additional domain controller. We have additional roles in the same server. So the additional domain controller, we have also beside it, it is a file server, it is a WSOS server, it is a DHCP. So all of these are on one server. As I said before, the best practice is to have your domain controller separately on a server, and any other additional role can be set up, or it can be done on another server. Okay, so we have our two domain controllers. We have DHCP, we have WSOS, we have file server. We have shared a couple of folders on our file server. We have these shared folders mapped to the users through a group policy. We have a lot of things done. We have created Active Directory home folders. So we have a complete network, or we have a network that contains most of or the widely used roles in any company. Okay, so now we need to secure this network. One of the things that we have done in this lab to secure the domain controllers is to install from the beginning the operating system, which is called Windows Server Data Center Core. This is a server that doesn't have a graphical interface. Okay, so it is without any graphical interface. Why is this? This is more secure. So most of the IT professionals say that the graphical interface, it's a weak point in any system. So this is why the Linux and the Unix are more secure than the normal Windows Server operating systems. So we have installed Windows Server Data Center Core on the two domain controllers, so we can secure our network. This is the first step. When you are designing your network, you need to make sure that the operating system are secure. So you need to choose wisely the operating system version. This is number one. And number two, we have created a workstation. This workstation is called PAW, or Privilege Access Workstation. This workstation has a couple of or a special configuration because it will be only used to connect to the two domain controllers that have the Windows Server Data Center Core installed on them. They are without graphical interface. So this workstation will connect remotely to these two domain controllers, so we can configure them remotely. And actually on this workstation we will set up three tools. The first tool is Windows Admin Center, and then Windows Server Manager, and then Remote Server Access Tool. These are three tools that have a graphical interface. We can use them to connect remotely to our two domain controllers that have operating system without graphical interface to configure them. So this PAW will have a special configuration, and it will be only used to connect to the two domain controllers. Okay, so this is the second step to secure your access to your servers. And this workstation will not have access to the internet. It will have special configuration. We will discuss in this video and repeat some configuration to be done in this workstation. So number one, you need to choose your operating system wisely to be secure, and you need to connect your operating system also through a secure connection. This is number one and number two. And then number three, now this we will use it in this lab, or in this video we'll begin adding additional security layers. So we need to secure or more secure our Active Directory. This will be done, or that we have discussed, that the Active Directory should be configured or should be designed in a certain way so we can secure it. How this is according to a model Microsoft said. It is called administrative tier model. We have discussed this in the previous video. This is a kind of a structure of the Active Directory that will through this structure your Active Directory will be less or it will be less the hacking will be less on it. Okay, so this is a design for the Active Directory to secure it. The design, it's only the design of the organizational units and the groups and the users. So you need to design your Active Directory according to a certain design we have discussed in the previous video, and we need to do or separate our Active Directory to zones. Let me show you all what I mean by this. This is the last video, or in the previous video we can see here that we have our this is our domain, this is our domain, and then we have our main OUs. This will be in a level called tier 0, remember this name, and then we have 3 armies. Every army will be a sub OU from the main OU. This is Russian, Ally, and then the Japanese army. These are 3 organizational units, sub-organizational units, and they will also be in tiers. So this is tier 0, this is the main OU level, and this contains most of our important servers, including the domain controllers. Then we have tier 1, this is for the Russian army. This will contain servers of the Russian army and the users of the Russian army. This will be less important than tier 0. And then we have tier 2, this for the Ally army will contain the servers of the Ally army, the users, and this will be called tier 2. It's less important than tier 0. And then we have tier 3 for the Japanese army. It will be also contains the users and the groups and so on. So in also the previous video we have said that we need to have this is the design. So you need to design your network to be something like this, okay, to be more secure. And we need also to secure our Active Directory. We need to separate the users or the Active Directory accounts that we use to manage the Active Directory and troubleshoot the workstation. So you need to have 2 users for every IT, okay? Every IT should have 2 users, one to manage the Active Directory, and if he need to manage the Active Directory, he need to connect through the POW workstation. This is the one. So he will have, here we go, we will have, for example, for the Russian army, so we have 2 groups. These 2 groups for every IT will contain 2 users. So for example, the Russian IT will have 2 users in this group, one IT admin workstations and the other is IT only. This group contains users to manage the Active Directory, and this group contains users to manage the workstations, okay? And if you need to manage the Active Directory, to connect through the POW, okay? So he need to connect to the POW. But what if he need to connect to a workstation to manage it or to troubleshoot it? He will have another PC. So there is 2 users for every IT and 2 PCs for every IT. So the 2 users will be used on 2 different workstations. The user to manage the Active Directory will be used on a PC called POW, and we have discussed what is the POW. And we will have another PC the IT will use to manage or to connect remotely to workstations to manage or troubleshoot. So this is the 3rd step, or let's say the 4th. So the first is to have your operating system to be chosen wisely to be the most secure operating system, and then you need to connect to it through the POW, and then you need to separate managing the Active Directory and managing the workstations to 2 users, and you need after that to separate the Active Directory to zones, okay? So this is the couple of things we need to do, okay? Or we have done this in the previous video. This video, what we need to do, we need to make sure that any one of the IT in tier 0 will not be able to connect to any workstation in tier 1 and tier 2 and tier 3. Why is this? Because if any hacker was able to hack one of these workstations in any army, he can get the credentials of the domain admin, so he can hack all of the network. So what we can do, we will separate every tier from the other one. So the IT in tier 0 cannot connect remotely to anyone in tier 1 or tier 2 or tier 3, and tier 1 cannot connect to anyone in tier 2 and tier 3, and tier 2 will not be able to connect to tier 1 or tier 0 or tier 3, and the same for tier 3. Tier 3 cannot be able to connect to tier 2 or tier 1 or tier 0. So this is another measure of security. Why? Because if the IT account of, for example, Japanese army was hacked, he will not be able to hack computers in the Ally army or in the Russian army, or in the global, or in the domain account, or in the upper OU. He can only hack, or he can only access workstations in his organizational unit, so he cannot go further up. If it is hacked, he will only be able to access this OU and to hack workstations and server in this OU. He will not be able to hack domain controllers in the upper OU or other servers in other OUs. Okay, so this is a best practice to separate every IT in every level, to separate it from the other ones. So for example, one will ask me, what if the domain admin needs to access workstations in one of the armies to troubleshoot it? So as I have said, I will block the domain admin to connect to any computers here or there or there. So what if he needs to see a problem, need to troubleshoot a problem? So this will be very easy. He, as a domain admin, will create an IT account. So for example, if he need to connect to the Russian army OU, so what he will do, he will create an account in the IT group for himself as an IT in the Russian army, and he will use this user to connect to the Russian army. It be in indirect way. So he will go to the domain admin, for example, and he need to connect to the Russian army. He will go and open the IT group in the Russian army and create a user for himself to connect only to the Russian army OU. Okay, so this will be the step. So this is another layer of security. This we will do it in this lab. We need to separate every IT in every level from the other one. So this will be done using a GPO or a group policy. So this is one of the major things to eliminate the hacking effect. So if a hacker was able to hack any IT in this group, he will not be able to hack the other one, or hack the other one, or hack this one. But what if the domain admin can access this and this and this? So as he hack this account, he will be able to hack all of them. Okay, so the domain admin account will not be used in any one of these three sub OUs. It will only be used in this tier. Okay, and the IT of the Russian army will only be used in this organizational unit, and the IT of the ally will be only used in this organizational unit, and the same for the IT of Japanese will be used also in this organizational unit. So the hacker will only see the account of the IT of the OU, and every IT will have, as I said before, 2 accounts, and he will connect to the domain controller using a very secure workstation. So this is the second thing we need to do to have measures, or to secure, or to separate the levels, or to make levels to separate IT for every group from the other one. Okay, so we'll do this in this video. Let me show you all how this will be done. So we'll go there and open the video. They will open the AM Workstation Pro. So we will limit or deny access for every IT, not to access the other IT OU, okay, or the other OUs or the sub OUs. This will be done using a group policy, okay, and this all are written in the documentation I have showed you all before. There is a documentation. Let me have here a look first. First of all, let me show you the documentation that is I am working from it. This is one of my colleagues in the LinkedIn. He have this PDF to secure your Active Directory, and it's not only this PDF. You have another great PDF I have discussed in the Transformers lab, something called Active Directory Security Assessment. This is another PDF for the same guy, and here, for example, as he said before, the privilege access workstation. So if we go there, just a moment. So if we go there, we can see here that he said that, for example, we don't have to have access to the internet on this machine. USB is blocked, no Outlook, inbound network connection is blocked. Each administrator will have his own PC. So if you have 3 IT, every IT will have his own workstation. So if the hacker was able to hack one of the machines, he will only hack, or he will only know the account that is accessing this machine. or hack the account that was accessing this machine. Anyway, so I will leave this PDF in a Google Drive link in the description of the video. So let me continue working with this PDF. So now we have our remote. This is the POW. Okay, I need to give it more RAM because I need to work without any performance issues. So now we will have it as 2 GB, and then we will open the RACC01. This is the primary domain controller. So here I pause the video. Now we will open the POW to connect remotely to the primary domain controller. Now we will have Control Alt Delete and then press OK, and then we will write the domain admin account, and we will type the password, and then we will begin configuring a group policy. We have already a group policy for every army or every sub OU. We will begin configuring this OU for every army to block certain users from certain tiers. So we will block IT from tier 0 to access computers in tier 1 and tier 2 and tier 3, and the same will be applying for every IT in every tier. So I think we can work with it. See, it is paused already. So now we will open the console, and then this is the steps. I have already typed the steps for working with the privilege access workstation. So these are the steps we need to we will work later, not this video. The upcoming video we will work to create a second POW, a second privilege access workstation, and make it more secure. This is already secured, but we will have more or additional security layers to be added to this POW. So this is the steps. Also, I will put this text file in a Google Drive link, okay, in the description of the video. The Google Drive link will contain all of the videos or all of the scripts and files I used in this lab. Okay, so now I think now we need to go to the group policy and begin working with it. So we need to configure, first of all, for example, we will go to the ally army. So just let me show you all something here. So here, if we were working with this, let me show you all here a little bit of thing here. So let me tell you something here. So okay, here, so if we need to block the domain admin to access the user or the Russian army OU and the ally army OU and the EOTS OU, this will be done using a group policy. Okay, and if we need the Russian army or the Russian IT not to access the ally OU and the EOTS or the Japanese OU, this will be done using a group policy attached to this OU. And the same, we have a group policy here and a group policy here. So the control of every user not to access the other tier organizational unit computers or the computers, this will be done using a group policy. So we'll have 3 group policies, one here and one there and one there and one up. So we have 4 group policies. Through it we will control, or we will limit that every IT only to access his tier, not to access the other tiers. Okay, so now we will do this. Okay, we will begin continuing this. So we will begin first working with the ally army OU for organizational unit. I think we can pass all of this real quickly, so we can go and complete. So okay, so now we will begin controlling or begin working. First of all, we will work with the ally GPO. This is the first thing. Need you all to concentrate with me, because this is how we can control who will access the workstations in the OU. So wait for a moment. Here the PDF says that we need to deny the domain admins, the enterprise admins, the schema admins, the account operators, the backup operators, the printer operators, the server operators, the DNS admins, and we'll let tier 0. This is the IT in the main OU. Okay, so we have said that every IT will have two users. Okay, one to manage the Active Directory, which are the domain admins, and the other one to manage the workstation. So this is the group that contains the IT that will manage the workstation. So we need to block all of these groups not to access or to deny access this computer from the network. So first of all, we need to have something. What is the meaning? This is a group policy. What is the meaning of this group policy, and what are these groups, what they do? So we know domain admins, we know it. They have the full control over the domain. What is the enterprise admins? What are the schema admins? What are the account operators? What are the backup operators? What are the printer operators? What are the server operators? What are the DNS admins? So this is the group policy, and these are the Active Directory groups that will be configured in this group policy. So we need to know each group policy, what it will do, and each group, what does its members do. So let's go for a moment here. Just let me show you all something. If we go and have a look on for example, these are the Active Directory default security groups. What we mean by default security groups, these are groups that are created automatically once you have your Active Directory up and running. So first of all, I need to tell you something here, guys. This group policy we will put it to the Ally Army. So the Ally Army, we have see in the graph, the Ally Army is tier 1. So in tier 1, we will configure a group policy to block tier 0 IT to access the tier 1. So this is a group policy will be configured in tier 1, and through it we will tell him that tier 0 cannot access you. Okay, so this is the first thing we need to know. And we need to know what are, for example, what are the account operators. Account operators grant limit account creation privileges to a user. So this is simply a group that any user in it can be able to create users in the Active Directory. Members of this group can create, modify most of the accounts, including those of users, local groups, and global groups, and members can log in locally to the domain controller. So this is one of the things we need to block this group from accessing tier 1. This is the first thing. Members of the account operators group cannot manage the administrator user account. The user account of administrators or the administrators or server operators account operators group cannot modify this right. Anyway, so this is a brief about what is the account operator. We have known now what is an account operator. So let's see, there is other groups. For example, one of the things, what is the DNS admin? The DNS admin, members of this group can have access to network DNS information. Okay, DNS information. Okay, the default permissions are allow, read and write, create all child, delete objects, special permissions. This group exists only the DNS server role is or was once installed on a domain controller. So basically the DNS admins, any member of this group will be able to modify the DNS. So we need to block the DNS admins and the account operators from accessing tier 1 computers. This is another thing. What about this is the DNS. Let me show you all here. This is the DNS. Sorry guys, just a moment. So we can go up there. So let's go up. This is we have known two groups, one for the account operators, and then we have the DNS admins, and then we have of course the domain admins. This is one. Members of this group are authorized to administer the domain. So this is simply the most privileged group. Any member of this group can control or administer the entire domain. So this is the domain admin. We need to go further and see what are the other groups. So we can go further. We have discussed, first of all, we have discussed the account. So we can go there. We have discussed the account operators, and then we have discussed the DNS admins, and then sorry guys, and then we have discussed the domain admins. Then we have the enterprise admin. The enterprise admin, all of these groups will be blocked from accessing tier 1 workstations and servers. Okay, so the enterprise admin exists only in the root domain of an Active Directory forest of the domain. So enterprise admins, they are, if you have not only one domain, so if you have a large number of domains, so you have, for example, a domain, a child domain, a child domain. So the enterprise admins, its members can manage all of your domains. If you have a lot of domains, if you have only one domain, so if you can only manage it through the domain admin account. So if you can manage your domain if you are a member of the domain admin, you will not be able to manage other domains. Okay, if you are a member of the domain admin, you need to be a member of the enterprise admin. Okay, so to manage multiple domains, you need to be a member of the enterprise admins. To manage only one domain, you need to be a member of the domain admin. This is simply what is it. Okay, and this is the description. You can return to it for more info. So we have discussed a couple. All of these groups will be blocked from accessing tier 1, but let me also go further and get so we have the enterprise admin, and then we have another group that will be blocked, something called schema admins. Let me first of all, not the schema admins, what are the printer operators? Okay, so here guys, just a moment, we're going to get here further. So here we can see that we have discussed what is domain admins, enterprise admins. We need to, and the account operators, all of these are blocked from accessing tier 1, which are the Russian army organizational units. So we have discussed what is domain admin, enterprise admin, account operators, DNS admin. We need to know what is our schema admins, backup operators, printer operators, server operators. So let's see what are the printer operators. Printer operators, they can manage, create and share and delete printers that are connected to domain controllers in the domain. So it is basically a group, okay, to manage printers. Okay, so this is basically our very basic description of what are or what is the printer operators. So let's go further. We have discussed what is the printer operators. Now I think we need to go, we have a couple of things. So we have discussed the account operators and the DNS admins, the domain admins, the enterprise admins, and the printer operators. This is the second thing to do. And then we have another group called the schema admins. So what are the schema admins? Members of this can modify the Active Directory schema. This group exists only in the root domain. So what is the schema? Schema, it is the internal design of the Active Directory. So for example, when you open a user and see the tabs of these users, okay, that contains a lot of data, there is a way that you can add more fields to these tabs. So for example, if you open the Active Directory user, just a moment, if you open the Active Directory user and for example see an attribute for his name, you can add more fields. For example, you can add fields that are not there. So you can add, for example, his Xbox account, for example. So this is done using or changing the schema of the Active Directory. So if you are a member of the schema admins, you can able to add more attributes to the Active Directory. Okay, so this is it. Here you can authorize to make changes in the schema. So this is also a very important group. This will play in the design fields of the Active Directory. So this is the schema admins. This is used by a couple of programs actually. So here we have discussed what is the schema admins. We have remaining the server operators. This is one. The server operators, they can administer domain controller. This group exists only on domain controllers. By default, this group has no members. Members of the server operator can sign into a server interactively, create and delete network shared resources, start and stop services, backup and store files, format the hard disk of the computer, shut down the computer. Okay, so this have a lot of rights on the server. It is something like local administrator, but it is for the server operators, and it's only this group, it's only on domain controllers. Okay, so basically also this is a very important group, okay, and there is no members in this group, but if you put anyone in it, this means that he can do a lot of things on the domain controller. Okay, so this is the server operators. We have also the backup operators. Let me show you also. We have something called backup operators. Let me go further and get the backup operators. So we have also something called the backup operators. Backup operators can backup and restore files on a computer. So this is basically also a group that will only be allowed to backup data and restore data for the users. So all of these groups and its members will be blocked from accessing tier 1. So let me return back to the graph, and let me actually do not close it, I will leave it there. So here we can see that in tier 1, so all of these groups that I am talking about are in tier 1. So the domain admin is in tier 1, the DNS admin, it is in tier 1, backup operators are in tier 1. So all of these groups in tier 1 will be blocked from accessing tier 1 and 2 and 3, and this will be done using a group policy. Okay, so we can make it more clear here by maximizing it. So here we can go there. So we will block domain admins from accessing tier 1 and tier 2 and tier 3. Okay, so this is it. This is the backup operators. So I think we have discussed all of the let me show you all of the domain admins have discussed it: enterprise admins, schema admins, account operators, backup operators, printer operators, server operators, DNS admins. So all of these groups will be deny access this computer from the network. Okay, so all of the computers in tier 1 will be these groups will be denied to access any computer on the tier 1 organizational unit. So let me also have a look on these rights. What are deny access to computers? We have another description here, it's called user rights. So if you go further and discuss what is here, something called deny access to computer from the network. This is it. What does this refer to? Describe this security, determine which users are prevented from accessing a device over the network. So all of the computers in tier 1, so here all of the computers in this organization unit will be denied access to the groups that I have mentioned earlier. So this is the first thing, we will deny access the computer from the network. All of the computers in tier 1 will be denied access to these groups. Now we have something called deny login as batch job. What is this right, or what does it talk about? Let me also have a description here. Deny login as batch. This is here. What is this group policy say? This policy setting determines which accounts are prevented from logging in by using a batch queue tool to schedule and start jobs automatically in the future. So there is some users that you can use to run certain tasks on certain computers. So for example, if you need, for example, to do send an email, for example, in a certain time, and this to be done as scheduled or as a job to be done on a computer every day, you will use a user to run this schedule or to run this job. This is called batch job. So we will deny all of the groups to run schedules or to run tasks on computers. This is something deny login as batch job. This is number 2. We will have something called deny login as service. This is also one of the group policies. So these are all group policies. I will show you all when we come to it. Deny login as service. So here, deny login as service, determine which users are prevented from logging into the service application on a device. A service is an application type that runs in the system background without a user interface. It provides core operating system features as web serving, event log, file serving, encrypting. So there is some programs that need to be run using a user. So for example, your SQL server will not be up and running unless there is a user that will initialize the SQL server service. So there is the database of the SQL will not be up and running unless there is a certain service to be up and running, and this service will be initialized, or it will start using a user. So this is what we mean by deny login as service. We will deny these groups to run services on the computer, okay, or on the computers in tier 1. So this is also the meaning of deny login as service. We have deny login locally. This is also another group policy. What is deny login locally? So deny login locally here, it means preventing users from logging in directly at the device console. So what we mean by this, there is something called deny login in computer. Okay, here deny login computer from network. That means that you will not be able to log into the computer or access the computer remotely. This is the first thing. As for deny login locally, we will not be able to access the computer from the console, or from physically from the location of the computer. So we have two things. We will deny login to computer from the network or remotely, and we will deny login locally from the physical, or to deny login physically on the machine. Okay, so this is also another thing. So all of these groups, okay, will be denied to access computer from network, deny to login as batch job, deny to be login as service, deny to be login locally, and the last thing, to deny be locally through remote desktop services. Sorry, this deny access the computer from network using an Active Directory account. Okay, so this is using the Active Directory accounts. As for login locally, this will be done not through the Active Directory, to do login locally on the machine, not through the domain. Okay, so this is to deny access through the domain, and to deny access locally on the machine. And then the last one is to deny login using remote desktop services. So this is to deny login remotely, this is to deny login locally, this is to deny login through the domain or through the Active Directory. So we can also have this. Okay, so this is the reference. Users prevented from logging in to the device through a remote desktop connection. Okay, so this is the thing. So this is all of the things that we need to do. So all of these groups are member also the domain admin, enterprise admin, schema admins, account operators, backup operators, printer operators, server operators, DNS admins, all reside in the tier 0, and we need to block them all from accessing tier 1. So we'll go to tier 1 and create a group policy to deny all of these groups to access it, to access all of the computers here. So we need to go and continue working with it. So now, and we will repeat the same process. So just a moment, guys. So it's a cumulative one. Just let me show you all. So after blocking all of the tier 0 IT to access the tier 1, we will go through a group policy. We'll go to tier 2 and create another group policy to block tier 0 and tier 1, and then we will go to the third one. We will create another or a third group policy to block tier 0 and tier 1 and tier 2. So it's a cumulative. We will take this and add them to these groups to block them here, and then we will go there and add both groups to deny access to this organization unit, and the same will be done here. So let me show you all when it comes, or how to do this practically. So just wait for a moment. Now we will go and begin working. So now we will go and open policies, and then we will go to administrative templates, or not Windows setting, and then it will take a little bit of time, and then we will go and security setting, and then you go to the local policies, user rights, not security options, user rights, okay, user rights, and then we'll go to deny access to this computer from network. This is the first one, not this one. So we need to begin, not this one. So we go to deny access, this not deny access to this computer from network, and then we'll begin adding the different groups. So now we will add group. Okay, so we'll add not tier 0. Tier 0, this is we will show, we'll add domain admins, enterprise admins, schema admins, so all of this will be added. So we'll add group and then browse, and then remember that the allied GPO, remember allied GPO, where this group will be applied, it will, group policy will be applied to this organizational unit. Okay, so this is the first thing you need to take care. This, sorry, the ally will be configured here. Okay, this will be configured on this organizational unit. Okay, so remember, I think maybe you can switch. This is not tier 2, this is tier 1, and the Russian army will be tier 2. Okay, actually also not ally will be tier 1, Japanese will be tier 2, and Russian will be tier 3. Okay, so anyway, we will continue working with this group policy IT, and then we'll begin adding the different groups. So here we will add, remember, we need to add, this is the global IT workstation administrator group. We need to add this group and the global IT group. Okay, to add both to be blocked from accessing tier 1 workstations. Remember, because I forgot to add this group, we need to add this group and this group. Anyway, so we'll continue. Okay, and then okay, and then we'll add domain admins. Okay, so we'll add domain admins. Okay, and then we will add enterprise admins. Okay, so we'll add enterprise admins, and then we will add schema. So we add all of the things, and we will repeat the same process for the 4 group policies items we have been discussing. So now we will add, here I'm just revising, and also I will leave this screenshot in the Google Drive link in the description of the video. So we will add all of these groups. Account operators. Okay, so we will add also printer operators. So here I'm just revising. So okay, printer operators. And tier 0 admins, these are the IT global WA group. This is the group that the IT will manage the workstation through it in tier 1. And you need to add also IT global, which is a group to manage the Active Directory. Okay, so we need to add both. Anyway, so we'll add printer or print operators, and then we will add the last thing, we will add the DNS admin. Okay, and then I think we need to add the SS to server operators. This is also, and then we will add it. Okay, and we add DNS admin, and I think we have something missing. I think these are all, so we will add them all. Take care. Okay, and then we will repeat the same for this one and this one and this one and this one. Okay, so we repeat the same groups for the remaining group policies items. So now we tell him apply and okay. I think here I am revising if I have something missing. So apply and okay. Okay, and then we'll do this for batch job, service, login locally, and the others. I will just pass it real quickly because this is not so I'm just only adding all of it, so we don't need to see it as a whole. Okay, I will continue just a moment, guys. Here after finishing this, I need to this. So what we have done here, we have done the same groups in all of the four group policies. Okay, so we need to do this. This is tier 1. Okay, so in tier 1 we will block tier 0 from access it. In tier 2 we will block tier 0 and tier 1. So we will add the groups for tier 1. I will show you all this in a moment, but first you need to take care that this LI GPO, it will be applied to all of the organizational units under ally. So I need to pass this real quickly. Okay, so we will go then and configure the second group policy for the Japanese army. Okay, the Japanese army, they are the second tier. Okay, so these are tier 1. So let me change this to be tier 1, and then this to be tier 2, and then this to be tier 3. So here we have the ally GPO to block tier 1 admins IT from access them, and then tier 2 or the Japanese army will block tier 1 and tier 0 and tier 1 groups. So now we need to have cumulative. We will add this and this to this GPO. So let's see this. We will go and configure the group policy. We will open it. The same for the EOTS. This is for the Japanese army, and then we will add all of these groups in addition to the groups of the tier 1 IT. So tier 1 IT have two groups, one to manage the Active Directory and one to manage the workstations. We will add both of them added to the all of these groups. So here we can see, if we can get it a little bit closer here. So here we can see that tier 0 will be denied access, and tier 1, so they are added. It's cumulative. We will add tier 1, tier 1, tier 1, tier 0 added to domain admins. So tier 0 in additional to the groups that we have discussed before, in addition to tier 1, all of these will be denied access to tier 2 and will be done the same order to the same group policies. So now we will do this, okay, to have a cumulative. So tier 0 will be denied access to tier 1, and tier 2 will be denied access from tier 0 and tier 1. So now we can pass this real quickly. We will go now and we will go and complete, not this one. We will go here and begin configuring. I will show you all what I mean by this. Now we will go and add the domain admins account. So this is are from tier 0. We will add domain admins, and then we will add enterprise admins. Take care of the groups. We will add, these are all from tier 0, so we will add the same groups from tier 0, and then we will add two groups from tier 1. These two groups are for managing the Active Directory and managing the workstations in tier 1. Will be added to the list. So now we will adding the same schema admins, and then we will add backup operators. So we are adding the same. Okay, so we'll do this and we will complete. We will add and complete. Okay, printer operators, and then we will complete adding all of this we have added before. This also will be blocked from accessing tier 2 in addition to tier 1. Okay, so we'll add server operators, printer operators, and then we will add account operators. Okay, and then we will add here, this is the trick here. Here we will add the ally, the group of ally IT will be added here. So we had added all of the tier 0 IT. Here we will add the ally, which are the IT of tier 1. Okay, so now we will add ally IT and ally IT workstation admins. This will be added here to the group. Okay, so let me show you all this in the graph, and then we'll add DNS admin. So these are all for tier 0. So we will complete all of these. This will all be blocked. So if you can go to the graph again, here tier 2, all of IT here in tier 1. So these are two groups in the ally army. This is a group to manage the Active Directory, and this group is to manage the workstations in the ally organizational units. These two groups will be blocked in addition to the groups in tier 0 will be blocked from accessing tier 2. So this is thing to be done. Let's continue. Okay, and then we will add, also remember the group of IT in the tier 0. Okay, remember this. We need to add also the global IT. Remember this one also. So we'll add this and this. This is to manage the Active Directory, and this is to manage the workstations. Anyway, so we'll tell him okay, and then after we finish, so we have finished all of this, and then this is to deny access to this computer from network. Okay, this is the first, or this is the first group policy. Okay, so these are all apply and okay. Okay, and remember, we need to configure 1, 2, 3, 4. We will configure the same 4 group policies with the same groups. So I will pass it real quickly because all this will be done. So deny access, and then the last thing is to deny access through desktop services. This is the last thing. We can complete this. Okay, and then we continue. We will go to the sorry guys, here we will go to the Russian army. Just wait for a moment. Here, this is the Russian GPO. Okay, so this is what we will do. So if you return back to the graph here, we said that tier 0 and tier 1 will be blocked from accessing tier 2. Okay, so tier 3, tier 0 and tier 1 and tier 2 will be blocked from accessing tier 3. So IT in tier 1 plus IT in tier IT in tier 0 plus IT in tier 1 plus IT in tier 2 will not be able to access tier 3 workstations. So the IT groups in tier 0 plus the 2 groups of IT in tier 1 plus the 2 groups in IT tier 2 will not be able to access tier 3. Remember, there is here a trick. Tier 3 can access tier 1, okay, and tier 1 can access tier 2. So these are done vertically. So you need to add every group to the GPO. This is not done in the group policy, but this you need to take care of it. Okay, so here we have discussed this. Let's return and see what are the groups. So here, for example, this is for the Russian army. Here we will have the domain admins. This is from tier 0 plus the IT from tier 1 plus the IT from tier 2. So here we have enterprise admins. Okay, and then we have schema admins. So here with these layers of security, we are blocking, or we are decreasing the chance that a hacker can know a certain user account, and if he knows any account from any tier, he will only be able to hack the tier itself. He will not be able to hack other tiers. Okay, so now we will add account operators. So we'll continue. These are all from tier 0. So this is still from tier 0, and then remember that this GPO, GPO will be applied to this organizational unit. Okay, so remember this. Anyway, we'll continue. Okay, and then operators, and then we will add, these are all from tier 0. Okay, tier 0. Okay, DNS admin, and then these are all from tier 0. Then we will add groups. Also, there is also remaining, this is the IT group in tier 0. Still, these are all tier 0 groups. Okay, so we will add them. We will add the IT global and the IT global workstations. Okay, we will add them both, and then we will add the IT of the tier 1 ally IT. This is tier 1. Okay, this is the 2 groups from tier 1. So we have tier 0 and tier 1. Okay, these are the 2, and then we need to add them. Okay, and then we will add tier 2 IT, the Japanese army. So we have add the ally army, the tier 0 groups, the Japanese groups. All of this will be blocked from accessing computers in the Russian organizational unit. So here we'll add UNEOTS. This is for the IT group of the Japanese army. So we can pass it, I think, real quickly here. Just a moment, if you can pass it real quickly again here. So here, these 2 groups, UNEOTS IT, this is the IT of the Japanese army, and UNEOTS IT workstation admins, these are 2 groups in the tier 2. So we have tier 0 tier 1 and tier 2. All of these will be blocked from accessing computers in the Russian organizational unit. So we tell him okay, and then we will do the same for the rest of the groups or the items. You know, all this we have already done it before, so all of these are complete. I think I am just revising, apply and OK, and then we will do this for 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do this all for the 4 or the remaining, so we'll complete it. Here we go, and then we will do this for the desktop services. So we'll do this. Okay, this is the last one. Okay, so now we have finished configuring the group policies to deny access of every IT to every tier computers. Okay, I think what I'm doing here, I don't know what I'm doing here. I think I am revising something anyway. So local policies, administrative rights, I think I'm just revising. So no, okay, don't worry, all of these are not important. So this is concludes of our video. We will shut down PC and then we will check our group policies on a PC that in the Ally organization unit. This is the fourth step to secure your network. Now I think we can take a snapshot or something. Anyway, I'll not take a snapshot. I think I'll just close it, shut down. Okay, hope this is informative to you all, and I'd like to thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much.